Welcome to the Femininja Project. I am your host, Cheryl I Love, middle-aged ninja hiding in plain sight, dedicated to restoring human dignity one person at a time and helping you unleash your personal power. Discover that it's possible to look like a woman, act like a lady, move like a ninja, and think like a warrior. And remember, men are always welcome on the Femininja Project. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Femininja Project. And I'm so happy you tuned in. Thank you for being here. I have a wonderful guest for you today. Her name is Alex Hatch, and she is also known as the Curly-Haired CEO. And Alex is on a mission to help single women create income and embrace what is best for their body. Her focus is empowering single women in their 30s while focusing on body image and the anti-diet culture. She also co-founded a digital strategy agency, which helps female entrepreneurs streamline their services. Alex, thank you so much for being here and welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited. This is my first podcast, so this is so fun.
Congratulations. Maybe we ought to have some kind of an award or whatever. I have a lot of first timers that come on my show, and it's very exciting because I love to hear from other people, you know, women and men. I love to hear their stories, and I love giving them a platform where they can share their passions with other people and with our listeners. So why don't you just start sharing your story about how you became, number one, the curly-haired CEO. We know that you're curly-haired, but so just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, curly-haired CEO. I have gorgeous curls hair, and it just one day I was like, you know what? I'm starting a business, and I'm going to be the CEO of my life. So what's something that's unique to me? And everybody has always commented on my curly hair because it is natural. I got it from both sides of my family, and it just kind of stuck. And so I've had that for, I don't know, probably 10 plus years now. And people will see me like at work conferences and they'll be like, hey, you're the curly haired CEO. And it's just fun. So it's really memorable and I love it. And I've embraced it. So yeah, a little bit about me. So I grew up in Colorado, born and bred. And growing up, I was a little overweight. That's how I dealt with my emotions, was through food. That's the only thing I could control as a little kid, right? And then my parents got divorced when I was 11, and that was still my coping mechanism, and just kind of continued that way through the first year of college. After the first year of college, when, you know, like most of us do or did, we gained the freshman 15 because you're by yourself for the first time and you're like, whoa, we have like unlimited food. This is amazing. And so it was after my first year that I was okay, like, I think I'm ready to like change my eating habits, make myself a priority, get healthier. And I was never like a super unhealthy kid, just happened to be overweight. And so I started doing a very well-known program, which I don't want to name drop, but I was on it for, I want to say, I think it was 5 or 6 years. And during that time, I proceeded to lose 65 pounds.
Wow.
But I also, yeah, it was a massive feat and I was very proud of myself. But in that time, I ended up gaining an eating disorder because I became so focused on the number on the scale and the number of my pants. Like, and that just for 6 years consumed my every waking breath. And eating disorders are such a intricate and confusing topic because there's so many, and I am by no means an expert, right? I just know my story and a little bit of research that I've done, but they affect, I think the number is like 9 or 10% of the population. So it's not a small feat. And I had a form of bulimia. I never purged, but I would take laps before I would weigh in because I had to get the number on the scale like little. And it totally consumed my life. I told everybody that, you know, I hated French fries and I hated pizza because I was so scared of eating them that, you know, and it's just like the nervousness and the control that comes with that of being able to control what you put in your mouth and your body just becomes obsessive. So I would over exercise, I would under eat. And I, on the outside, like I looked great, you know, I got so much outside validation of, wow, you look so great. You've lost so much weight. And so that just continued to fuel my unhealthy habits, right? And my wake up moment was when I wouldn't lick the spoon after I dipped it in peanut butter to measure out my tablespoon. Because that one lick, what was it going to do, right? Like hindsight, it wasn't going to do anything. But in my brain, that was like, you know, 30 extra minutes on the treadmill that I didn't want to do. And I remember like looking at that spoon and I was like, okay, hold on a second. Like something just clicked in my brain that this was not healthy and this was not normal. And so for the next however many years ago that was up until now, I've spent countless time like figuring out why I developed that habit. What were the triggers? What is it in society that perpetuated that? And I healed my relationship with food and with my body. And it's been a very, very long roller coaster of a journey. It's never, linear. It's ups and downs and all of that jazz. But now I'm proud to say that I am very healthy, very curvy, and I love it. And I embrace my curves in my body. And now I know what foods work well with my body. I've learned to be intuitive. I no longer fear peanut butter. It's actually my favorite food group. So that's like a huge, huge milestone of mine. My friends actually laugh at me because if there's a nut butter around, like that's mine. And yeah, it just, it's delicious. It's just, yeah, it's been a journey and I'm very grateful for it. I don't regret any of it because it brought me to where I am today and has taken me down a road of helping to empower other people and starting a couple businesses because of the confidence that I gained from it, that I could do this. Yeah, so that's kind of my story in a nutshell.
When you said that the statistic between 9 to 10% of the population has some sort of eating disorder, actually, I'm surprised because I would have thought it was more than that and much higher.
Same. And I actually looked at it this morning to make sure that I was like in, following the right statistics, not giving it the wrong number, but it was from the National Association of Anorexia and Associated Disorders. So it's a pretty reputable source, which I thought it was higher too. But the other two statistics that totally like blew my mind that I was reading is 26% of people who have an eating disorder attempt suicide.
Oh,
which breaks my heart. And thankfully I never got to that point. But this one like is going to make me cry because I have a 5-year-old niece who's like my world. And 42% of the first to third graders want to be thinner.
Oh, geez.
And I'm like, they're in first to third grade. Like they should be concerned about playing on the playground, like playing with Barbies or doing whatever kids do these days, right? Like they shouldn't be worried about their body when they are so young and still growing. Right. And like, I can't believe that that's consuming our first to third graders. And it's so perpetuated by the media, right? Like all the pictures that we see in magazines, movies, TV shows, the access to social media nowadays for kids. I don't have kids. I'm just a proud aunt, but like I love that I grew up in a generation that didn't have social media. And I wish that was still the case because even as adults, we get sucked into it, right? And so I can't imagine for these little brains that are still developing what they're trying to sort through is right. And they're seeing all these pictures of these people that have been airbrushed and have the perfect lighting and the perfect clothing because they have wardrobe people and they have, people to pose them in pictures where it's not real. It's fabricated to produce this image and to sell these products that are just making people money and they don't care about your health. It's all about the bottom line. And like, I remember growing up, never seeing anybody who looked like me in the magazines or in TV, like ever. And nowadays, thankfully, we have more representation of people of color, people of different body shapes and sizes, and it's great. But it's still that there's still that underlying pressure to be thin because apparently being skinny means that you're healthy, which is so not true. So I'm healthier now and I've gained back a fair amount of weight than I was when I had lost all of it.
You look fantastic, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you.
I haven't seen you in quite a long time. So just so the audience knows, you and I met in a networking group probably 8, maybe even as long as 10 years ago. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I don't really remember what part of the journey you were in at that point. But, I've seen pictures of you on social media because that's how you and I reconnected. And you just look fantastic. I mean, you look wonderful. You just look like the picture of health and vitality and joy and happiness. And to me, that's what it's all about.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. It's been a journey. And I think when we met, I was 23 or 24. And so I was in the thick of it. Like I was probably 4 or 5 years into my ordeal. And yeah, now it's just, it's one thing that I'm super passionate about is like there's nothing wrong with wanting to change your health, right? If you want to lose weight, if you want to gain weight, if you want to tone up, if you want to get plastic surgery, if you want to, whatever, like there's nothing wrong with that. If you're doing it for you, like if you're not doing it for outside validation, if you're doing it because you just want to, like, I'm not ashamed to admit that I had a tummy tuck because I had lost so much weight that I had all this excess skin, and like I needed to get that taken care of because there was no amount of workouts was going to get rid of that, right? And so I'm not ashamed of that. Like I did that, and that was a huge milestone in my like confidence in my healing. But like when people do it because they're trying to look like somebody else, or somebody told them that they'll be more lovable or more worthy if they lose weight, that's what kills me, because your worth as a human being has nothing to do with your weight or your number on your scale or your pants or your clothing size. Like you are worthy as a human just by being a human being, just by being born. Like you're worthy of taking up space on this planet. And it just kills me that so many people think that it's because they're not thin enough or whatever, that they're not worthy of being loved or of having friends or of making money, of doing a job. Like I'm just, oh.
Well, yeah, I have to tell you, you know, as a dancer, I have seen a lot of eating disorders up close and personal, and really, really heartbreaking, because a lot of the, especially, you know, the younger dancers, if they could only get to be thin enough, then they would make it as a ballerina. That's so sad.
Like your neural pathways get like programmed that way, right? Like your brain is such this fabulous tool that we all have, but when it gets programmed, you can't unprogram it. But you know, you got to have the right person to do that with, and the right like support, and it's a whole ordeal, and it doesn't happen overnight. And everybody wants everything instant, especially in this day and age. But nothing with your health is instant. Like you can't just eat a salad and be healthy, or you're not going to eat a Big Mac and be unhealthy. Like it's just not. It's the compounding effect, right? And it's like thinking about like just different body types, right? Like I'm 6 foot, and I would never I remember the weight that I was supposed to be at according to the scale, I think was like 160 something. And for my body type, like that just, my body, when I hit my lowest weight, which I can't remember what it was, but it was close to that number. Like my body rebelled. Like the next week when I got on the scale, I had gained so much weight, even though I had done the same stuff every day for that week, because it was like, this is not where you can sustain yourself. So even the quote unquote doctors, the BMI chart or whatever it wasn't healthy for me at that age, at that size. My body, like your body, the healthiest weight for you is the weight that you are living your healthiest life. That's what it is. And like, I don't know what I weigh right now. I don't get on the scale anymore. Like, because that's just one factor of your health. Like, I want to know, how's your mental health? Like, how do you handle pressure and stress, and how are your relationships? And do you meditate and sleep? And what's your water intake? And like, do you get outside in sunshine? Like, do you have a movement that you do because you genuinely enjoy it, not because you're, you know, trying to cut calories or, you know, do whatever, fit into this is my least favorite time of year, because everybody's talking about get your body ready for summer. Your body is already summer ready right now. Like as you are right now listening to this, or as we're talking, like your body is perfect right now. It's perfect. It doesn't need to get ready for anything. If you want to lose weight or do whatever, that's fine. But know that as you are right now, if you're not happy with who you are right now, and you don't know that you're worthy right now, you're not going to know that when you lose the 5, 10, 20 pounds.
The other time of the year that I really dislike very much is New Year's. New year, new you, the New Year's resolutions. That absolutely drives me crazy, because what's the message? That you're not good enough. You need to change. But I wanted to highlight two things that you brought up that I thought were very interesting. Number one is bringing up the neural pathways. And that is so important, because our brains and our nervous system is so malleable. And I talk about that in a lot of these episodes of you can change your neural pathways. And that's basically what's happening if you go one way or the other. Your brain is always taking in this information. So if we're looking at all of those photographs of these supermodels who've been airbrushed and have this incredible team around them that takes care of every aspect of their photo shoot, of course they're going to look fantastic. And then our minds and our brains are taking that in, going, I should look that way. How can I look that way? And it's almost like it's reprogramming us So it's really important to be aware of that and the messages that we're getting from society and from other people and from the health and wellness experts, including, I love the fact that you brought up the BMI, because a lot of times the BMI is just BS.
It is so outdated. Oh, it's so outdated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now tell us how you got into creating, becoming an entrepreneur. And what I love is, if I remember correctly, when we had this conversation, we had a phone call before, that you actually, because of COVID, you were able to come up with a couple of ideas on how to create this business.
So I'm a wedding planner by trade. So I've been in that industry for 13 years. Last year was my final season. I hung up my hat.
I would imagine that would be a very high stress and difficult position.
It had its moments. Yes, it had its moments. I've seen pretty much everything under the sun. We've had Secret Service there because we've had, the VP of the country was a guest, and that was crazy. I've had streakers, drunk people, like you name it. I've probably seen it or dealt with it. And so I have a lot of really fun stories. But yeah, 8 years ago, I was introduced to network marketing, and kind of my girlfriend was like, hey, you should check this out. Come with me to like this conference. And I was like, sure, like I'll go travel with you anywhere. Like I love to travel. That's one of the great true loves of my life. And so I was like, yeah, I'll go with you. I had no idea what I was getting myself into, like literally none. I had never heard of network marketing. I had no idea. But I get there and I just meet these amazing people, and they're talking about this life that I've like wanted to live for a long time, but I knew I couldn't necessarily do as a wedding planner, because wedding planning, you have a lot of meetings at nights, all of your weekends from basically mid-April, late April through September are taken with events. And so if I wanted to live a life where I got to travel whenever I wanted and didn't have to ask for time off, like wedding planning wasn't really going to do that. And so enter network marketing. And I spent 7 years with my first company, and I love the product, and I still take it to this day. And I love the people that I met. They were absolutely incredible, and some of my best friends to this day. But when COVID hit, I got laid off from my 9 to 5. I had a job in the event industry because the wedding industry and just events in general were hit incredibly hard, like a lot of other industries, right? But our industry is so complex. There's so many different pieces that go into it that people don't realize. So we were actually like affected more so than people realize. So March 13th is my 2-year laid off anniversary, which is crazy that it's been 2 years. And so a couple of my girlfriends and I, who were also in the company with me, we decided that we were going to take a mastermind weekend and just kind of plan out, like, what do we want to do with our lives? How are we going to because one of them had lost their job. The other one, her husband's hours were cut, and she was, so we were like, what are we going to do? So we just started talking and realized we all kind of had similar skill sets or enough and like the same vision of like, well, we want to help other people, like other women with social media, because the three of us were very active on social media and we're really good at it. And so we decided to start an agency called Efficiency on Tap. And it's a digital strategy agency where we help female entrepreneurs streamline their services so that they can spend more time doing what they love and less time on the mundane stuff that takes away from making money, right? So whether that's automating social media, automating customer care, things like that. And so we started that in July of 2020. Yeah, July of 2020. And It's been going, yeah. And so we're a year and a half in, and like any new business, right? We've had ups and downs and twists and turns, and we're in the middle of a rebrand right now. And it's just a whole lot, but we've stayed the course because we realized that, we're building a life that we get to choose, and we get to help people do it in the process. And what's really cool is through creating this company, I was introduced to my current network marketing company that I'm also in, clean living, natural products, things that you use every day, but less toxic, and just better solutions for you. And I've just discovered that like this company is way more in line with what I want my future to be. Because I have big dreams, big goals, big things that I'm working on. And this company is right in line with that. And so those two together are just, it's been really fun, really, really fun. And I don't think I could ever go back to ever being a quote unquote employee, because I'm pretty sure I'm certifiably unemployable now.
Well, another thing that I absolutely love about your story is the fact that the three of you got together and created this mastermind. You didn't sit back and go, oh gosh, woe is us. What are we going to do? We're victims. You just took those steps that is so empowering and so powerful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, I have to contribute that. I have an amazing mindset coach who's just, I've been working with for almost 7 years now. And he always tells us, just take steps, keep taking steps. And that is what we just kept doing. And it's really paid off. It's really paid off. And so I'm grateful.
Did you ever get frustrated?
Oh, not every day, but like the entrepreneur life, right, is not for the faint of heart. It is not. Like people see, like they always see like the after stories, right? They see people who were really successful or have these big houses and these awesome cars, but they don't see the 10 plus years of the struggle that it took to get there and the ups and downs and the wondering like, okay, well, this month was kind of a low month. Well, I guess I'm going to have to put my groceries on credit card this month because, life happens and things with entrepreneur life are just unpredictable. And so there's a lot of frustrations that come with that. But when I think about how unhappy I was in my corporate life, like making a set salary that, paid the bills and I had a little bit extra at the end of the month, but not enough. And then if I wanted to take time off, I had to make sure I had enough available that I could with still getting paid, and then I had to make sure it was approved. And I wasn't happy. Like, I liked aspects of my job, mostly the people that I worked with, but it wasn't my passion. Like I wasn't living in my true self and fulfilling what like I knew I was meant to do and the influence that I was meant to have. I couldn't do that in my corporate life. And so I can do that now being my own boss.
It's really funny. People only see the end result. They don't see those years of building and they don't know about the sleepless nights. So that is incredibly frustrating. And it's frightening too, especially when you're a single person responsible for your own financial health as well. So how did you deal with those frustrations? Do you have any tips or any strategies that helped you get through those times where you're thinking like, oh my God, what am I going to do?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of hit the nail on the head. Like being a single woman is like single and going through entrepreneur life is just, there was a whole nother like level into it, right? Because I don't have anybody to fall back on. Like I have my savings, I have my credit cards, and maybe I could, ask a family member for whatever, but that's like, I don't want to do that, which is, I want to make it work, right? Like I want to do this for myself and make myself proud and show other women who are in their 30s like me, who don't have kids, who are single, who are trying to maybe navigate the dating life right now, still in COVID, but not in COVID. And now with the rest of the world where it is like, it's just that's a whole nother job that I want to get married. And I know my person's out there and I know we're both figuring out whatever we need to figure out before we like meet and, have our own wonderful love story. But like doing it all by myself, thankfully, I have the most incredible group of friends. Like I have these babes, like there's a core of us, there's 5 of us, and we were put into this mastermind in 2019, December 2019. And we didn't know 2020 was coming, right? But since December 2019, we have talked every single day.
Wow.
Literally every single day. I actually live with 2 of them now. I live in kind of a Brady Bunch house right now. There's 4 adults, 6 kids, 2 dogs, 3 cats. There used to be a toad. Sadly, she passed away 2 days ago, and there's
I'm sorry.
It's a whole thing. There's some fish. There's some tadpoles. It's the Brady Bunch, but this is the power of community, right? This is what I love about the entrepreneur life is that all 3 of us women here are entrepreneurs, and one of them is my business partner. And we just realized that like there's such power in having good people in one place and helping each other out. That I moved from Colorado in November to come to Kentucky and live here. And so that's been a huge help, is just having those people to lean on. When I just need to cry or vent, or when I need a dance party and a wine night, and just have that community of girlfriends. Because I often find that like when I get frustrated, if I take myself out of the situation, right? Like if I just put the work down and step away and like go have fun, go let myself relax, my entire body, my soul, my brain, everything relax. I can come back with more of a clear head and a better vision and like know what steps to take next to figure out what is this roadblock, how am I going to work through it. And that's been key. That's been like, I would not be where I am today without my friends, like at all.
That is a huge and incredibly valuable tip and piece of advice that you just shared with us, because that makes such a difference. A lot of times when we get frustrated, we just kind of just gnaw on it like a dog with a bone and just won't let it go. But to be able to step away, do something fun, free your mind, free your spirit, and then get back to it. And it's really interesting. I've noticed that anytime I do that, then I come up with a lot more creative and incredible solutions to a problem.
Yeah, because you come back with just like a different energy, right? And so you're able to like look at it from a different lens. And it doesn't have to be for, you're not walking away for a week. Like for me, usually it's maybe a couple hours, maybe it's a night. Like sometimes it's 15 minutes of just going outside, sitting in the sun and just like taking a breather, just to get out of that situation and then come back with a clear head.
So there's a few other things I wanted to ask you about, because I was going through some of your information this morning, I think was on your website. And so there are a couple of things that you talk about. One is earn while you scroll. And the other one is 5-minute health and wellness quiz.
Yeah. So the quiz is just a form that I use for people that are interested in the products that I offer. So whether they're looking to like clean up their toxins in their home, right? Let's say they use like a really crappy laundry detergent. I can help them with a better option that cleans just as well, but it's less toxic. Or if they're looking to help with joints or skin or hair growth or anything like that, like this is just a quiz that really helps me personalize some recommendations for them in an easy way, asking all the right questions and then helping me to just narrow that down. And then the earn while you scroll thing is social retail is the business that I'm in, and it is changing the way that we earn money as consumers. So you think about Amazon, right? When Amazon started in the 90s, it started with books. And it wasn't the books that they sold that made them into the household name that they are today. It was their distribution model of e-commerce. And so what social retail is doing is changing the way that we reward our consumers. So as somebody in social retail, I'm able to, let's say I share my code with you, you are able then as one of my customers to have your own personal referral code. So that let's say you like, oh my God, I love these products, I want to share with my sister or my best friend. You can then share a code with them. And then anytime that your sister or best friend orders, you as the person who shared their code gets a percentage back to spend on future orders. So it's just ways that you get to be rewarded for sharing something that you enjoy. And we do that anyways, right? Like people are posting their Wordle score every single day, but they're not getting paid for it, right? Like Wordle isn't paying these people for congratulations, you completed a puzzle. Like they're not. But what I'm doing can actually not only pay me, pays my customers, and that trickle effect is what's really cool.
Awesome. Okay. So then you also talk about journals and notebooks.
So I'm a millennial, right? I'm a millennial. I had to think about that for a second. I was born in the late 80s in 88. And so, I grew up with, I had both. I had like the no technology, and then computers were introduced when I was in, I think, elementary school. And so as much as I love technology and I'm grateful for it, I love pen to paper. Like I'm a big pen to paper girl. That's just how I love it. And so I've been journaling for Lord knows how long. And so one day I was like, I'm just going to use a creative outlet and create some journals. And so I created some journals and they're available on Amazon.
Oh, nice.
And it was just a fun creative outlet for me that I just wanted to create something fun, and Amazon lets you sell things. So,
well, as a baby boomer, I love pen to paper. And there's something very comforting or almost soothing when I start writing. And I always use a pencil But I love just even the scratching sound of the pencil on paper as I'm writing. There's something about it that's just really, really comforting, even though journaling, my way of doing it is completely different than what some other people do. I mean, I don't write my feelings because I don't do feelings, but it's a nice way of keeping track of what you've done for the day or what you, a big accomplishment or a small accomplishment. So it's a wonderful thing.
I mean, I talk to my journal like it's one of my friends. Like I'm like, hey, so listen, this is what happened. Like I'm not like, dear diary. And some people are, right? And that's the beauty of just, it's just a healthy outlet to have that place just to kind of, again, gets it out of your brain onto paper. And I love it because I look back and, when I'm, 80 and I'm going to be reading my journals, be like, wow, okay, cool.
Well, and there's something else too. There is, I can't remember what part of the brain that it activates, but there's something about the brain that when you are writing, that another part of your brain is activated. And I can't remember what it is.
Me neither, but I know what you're talking about.
Okay. And then the last thing is having things like the collagen and healthy living goods.
Yeah. So, I mean, I am just a huge proponent of health, right? Like, and health is different for everybody. What products work for me might not work for you, but they might work for your sister, right? So like, I'm just a big proponent of sharing what works for me. And if I can help other people with that, then I'm more than happy to. So like, I have a really good collagen that's really helped with my lower back pain. And I love my curly hair, but my hair doesn't grow as much. And thankfully from taking the collagen for the last year, I actually have some growth, which I was so excited about because I want more curls. So just, sharing things that I find work and that can help people, that can be like a tool for them in their toolbox of overall health. Because again, you can't just take collagen and be like, okay, everything's great. No, there's a whole lot that goes into health, right? Like one pill isn't going to fix everything. One shake, one whatever. Like it's all encompassing, and it's a process that works. And you got to take the time to do it, and I've taken the time, and so I share what works for me, and just let people know that it's a journey, and you got to work on your mindset as you work on your physical set as well. And so I just love being able to help women, especially just because I am a woman, right? Do that in a way of just letting them know that you're worthy as you are, whether you are healthy or sick or thin or not, or whatever, like you're worthy, you're beautiful. And I love you as a fellow human. And, let me help you with whatever you need help with, even if it's just like following me on Instagram and like commenting back when I say something that resonates with you, like just that community aspect is something that I'm super, super passionate about.
Well, that was very sweet. I loved hearing that about, what you said about women, and you're lovely. You love them. It's just, that's awesome. I mean, I think that we need to be a little bit more supportive and loving toward each other in this wild and crazy world.
Yes, we do.
Yes. And one other thing I wanted to ask you. So if you could have go back in time 20 years ago and see yourself back then, if you as that person 10 years ago could have looked into the future and see where you are now, how would you have reacted, or what would you have said to yourself, or to the person who would say to you, this is where you're going to be and this is what your life is going to look like? What would you have said?
I don't know if me 10 years ago would have believed it. I think because I was so just in my own head, right? Like, and in my brain, I was never good enough, right? Like I always had big visions, but I never fully believed that I could, up until I started working with my coach and worked through those, false beliefs that I've been telling myself. So I think it would just be, keep going and just trust me that it turns out better than you could have ever imagined.
So, and I do want to highlight the value of a coach, because like I said, you were working with a coach. I don't know if you were working with one for the eating disorder or for the business or both, but you did say that you had somebody that you're working with now who's kind of like a mentor or whatever, that is very helpful. So it does really make a difference to have somebody from the outside to help point things out and help guide you in your travels and in your journey. So it sounds like you would be a fantastic person for women to connect with, to help them with their journey. So if you can tell us how our audience can get a hold of you, where they can find you, how they can connect with you, take it away.
Yeah, so I'm most active on Instagram. So my handle is the Curly Haired CEO. And I'm on there every single day. So I'm very quick to respond to messages. That's the best place to reach out to me for any of this, because that's my platform is Instagram. So any questions on anything, I'm happy to direct from there. So that would be the best.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Alex, thank you so much for being here. It has been wonderful to talk to you. And I really blown away by your journey, and I'm so empowered by it. I mean, even just sitting here listening to it, it just gives me hope for the future, for the generations that are coming up that are starting to really think like that, get that entrepreneurial spirit, looking at health and wellness in such a holistic way. So I really applaud your efforts and love what you're doing. Absolutely love it.
Thank you so much. This was so much fun. I really appreciate you taking the time and inviting me to come on here. This is awesome.
And how do you like being on a podcast?
This is fun. This is so fun. I can't wait to do it again.
All right. Well, thanks again, Alex. I really appreciate you being here.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too. And everybody, thank you so much for listening. I appreciate you as well. And do check out the Curly Haired CEO. She really does have a lot of wonderful information and some fabulous content that she posts on Instagram. And remember, your body image is so important, and to be able to take care of your health, and you are beautiful just the way you are. And that is the way of the Femininja. And that's a wrap on another episode of the Femininja Project. Thank you so much for listening. And remember, be safe, be strong, and until next time, bye now.